Welcome back, Miracle Fighters, to yet another best of 3D standard gameplay. This time we have Roxy and Ling, right? So Ling is on the left and Roxy is on the right. Ling will be playing the Keter Sanctuary Hexaorb Sorceress Aquamarine deck, while Roxy will be playing the Lyrical Monasterio Alestiel Twin Wings deck. So once again, I'm commentating because this video was recorded back then when Roxy had a sore throat, so she wasn't able to vocalize that well in the video. So I might as well just do the commentary once again for this matchup. Okay, so to stand up the Vanguard, Ling is going first. So Ling in this video will be showcasing a few of the new Hexaorb support. I think mainly just one of the new Hexaorb support, which is the Grade 2 Delta Pen Sorceress. Whereas Roxy will be just playing the old Alestiel build. Not the old one, but rather the Festival Booster one. Okay, so right now just basic things going on. Nothing too amazing here yet. So Ling goes into Pentagleam and then uses the ability of the Grade 1, right, to draw a card. Meanwhile, Roxy is on Black Wings. So Black Wings is not that good if the opponent is going first. Okay, over trigger check. Alright, 100 million to Vanguard. Okay, so as I was saying, Black Wings is not that good right now because it doesn't matter, because most likely Ling has, Grade 2 rearguards to attack, right? So Black Wings is actually better if you're going first. And here having the White Wings for the free ride up would have been much better. But of course it's all luck based, right? Okay, so she calls out the Justin, which is an interesting tech in Roxy's deck. So the Black Wings effect of Alestiel is that the opponent cannot use trigger units to guard Alestiel's attack. Okay, draw a trigger. So here, because Roxy is in Black Wings, she will be able to activate the ability of MIL as well. So at the end of the battle, it boosts that the attack while boosted. She can actually bounce one of her other rearguards to the hand. So now it's Ling's turn. She top draws the Spiral Cutie Angel and discards it to ride into Hexaorb Sorceress Aquamarine. Okay, so Spiral Cutie is the Keter Sanctuary cycle card, so she gets an additional draw. She gets a draw off of it. With the ability of the Grade 2 in the right line, she can check the top 3 and then also arrange them in any order. Technically, she could have done this before she draws as well. So, okay, but doesn't matter. She's going to use Tortoise anyways to search for a Persona Ride straight up from the deck. Okay, so Ling begins a battle phase and attacks with the Effulgent Wizard first. Every time it attacks, she can check the top card of the deck, and if the Vanguard is standing, she can actually put it into the soul. This time she leaves it on top, so most likely it will be a trigger. So being on Aquamarine as the first Grade 3 ride means that Ling can potentially multi-attack as well if she checks, triggers in a Twin Drive. So Roxy goes for a 2 to pass. Ling knows that she has 1 trigger, and it's a front trigger, so she doesn't have to decide where to give the power to. And she also gets the restand. And oh my, a critical trigger. So all effects to Vanguard, everything goes through. Roxy has to take 2 damage. Very unfortunate for Roxy there. This actually puts Ling in a very good position here, pushing Roxy to high damage before her Persona Ride turn, which will be even more explosive. And Roxy is forced to, gut this attack. Okay, now going to Roxy's turn. She discards a Justine and goes into the Holy Angel of Blessings Celestial. So Justine gives the deck a bit of plus, right? Because she can always call it back out after discarding it. Okay, so she's now in White Wings. White Wings is actually the better one to be on if you're playing this version of Alestiel, because it allows Roxy to go for the superior ride multi-attack combo. Here Roxy uses Seraphiel to bot deck the OG Alestiel, which is part of the combo as well. And Roxy also has the Alkill on the rearguard circle, right? And Alkill can actually go activate double wings later on. Okay, so Vanguard attacks for 21,000. See, does Lingard? Lingard's for 33, so that's a 2 to pass. Draw trigger. Okay. Let's see. She can either... Okay, so she gives it to the grade 2 that has not attacked yet. She can also give to the Vanguard booster if she really wants. But here, she's in white wings, she can counterblast 1, discard a card from the hand, and then search the deck or the hand for the OG Archangel Twin Wing Celestial and Superior Ride. And with Alkyl's effect, because the Vanguard is placed, she can bind Alkyl to draw a card. And when Alkyl is bound, both wings are active. Seraphil is also a restanding booster when the Vanguard is placed during the battle phase. So this gives a bit more power, right, to Alestiel's, to the Vanguard's second attack. So now with both wings active because of Alkyl, this version of Alestiel can actually get plus 5,000 power, plus 1 critical, as well as reduce the power of all of the Link's units by 5,000 power. So right now Hexaorb is at 8,000. So Link decides to just nullify this attack, and Roxy checks nothing. And then the final attack is just 26, but 26,000 towards an 8k Vanguard. So that's 20,000 guard. And Link takes it. And Roxy here chooses to return the Holy Angel Blessings back to the hand instead of rearguard. But if she does so, she has to put the grade 2 into the soul. But having that Holy Angel Blessings is really important because she does not want to be stuck on the OG Alestiel, right? Okay, now we're going to Link's Persona Right turn. This will be the scary turn for Hexaorb, potentially 5 attacks with, massive columns. Okay, so Link goes with the rearguard first. She's going unboosted. Okay, and then checks the top card, leaves it on top. So most likely it is a trigger there. And she's going for a boost this time. So Refuerzos can boost if the player has Persona Road. So right now this column is hitting for 33,000. And that's 3 cards used up to guard for this attack. Link's Vanguard goes in for 23. 23 is very deceptive because each trigger will add 20,000 power instead of 10,000. First check, front trigger once again. When a trigger unit is revealed, Soul Blast 1, Link can withstand one of the rear guards, and she stands Effulgent Wizard. And Refuerzos effect also activates here because she stood a rear guard, it also stands. So one whole column is now standing. And the second check, heal trigger. Since both players have the same damage, Link actually gets to heal. And healing down to 2 is really crucial here, making her much more able to survive Roxy's next turn. And with Aquamarine's effect, since it's not once per turn, she gets to restand the other Effulgent Wizard as well. So solid drive checks there for Link. And Effulgent Wizard also gets plus 5k for each trigger unit revealed in a drive check, so both get plus 10,000 power. It's crazy. Lucky for Roxy, there was no crit here, but Roxy is now pushed to 5 damage. And Link is at 2 damage, which is going to be hard for Roxy to really push for game here. But anyways, she Persona Rights. And oh no, over here Roxy actually binds a grade 2 from the top of the deck, Finale, and she already has the grade 3 in the bind zone. So what this means is, since there are 2 conflicting grades in a bind zone, 1 odd and 1 even, none of the wings actually activate. So in this case, Roxy's deck is actually shut down. She does not have any Finale in her hand to correct this mistake, and so I think this turn will be vanilla for Roxy. Just 3 attacks, nothing she can do here without any cards to, change the bind zone. So now it's Link's turn. Once again, things are not looking too good for Roxy. Trying to survive a second Hexaorb Persona Right turn can be really tough. This time, Ling actually has the Keter Sorceress, which can, get even more cards out from the deck and potentially stack, triggers. But Ling ends up adding both cards to the hand. So if both cards are added to the hand, then 1 card from Link's hand has to be put on the bottom of the deck. But Link just goes ahead for her attacking phase. So no Delta Append Sorceress to really stack the deck with triggers. But that's fine. She has the Effulgent Wizard to try to get rid of non-triggers, and that's exactly what Ling does. So another PG's forced out, and let's see what Ling's Triple Drive reveals. 2 Spiral Cutie and a Hexaorb. So no trigger, and that can happen sometimes, so just 3 attacks. So Roxy gets another chance, right, to try to, finish off Ling. She does not Persona Ride, that's unfortunate, and she goes into Black Wings. That's not bad, but she does have the Finale anyways in her hand to try to change her wings to white. And okay, so she binds Alco from the hand, so that's both wings active. Both wings is always the best. So no Persona Ride is not that high power, just 21,000. Should be quite easy for Ling to guard. Ling guards for a 2 to pass. Very brave. Okay, so what happened there was Roxy actually gave the power to the booster, which is added continuously. So if she actually checked a second trigger, the attack would have gone through. But doesn't matter. Right now the power is with the booster, Seraphil. And Seraphil, as you have known from the previous round, or rather the previous turns, right, can restand when Roxy goes into the Archangel of Twin Wings, Alestiel right now. Since both wings are active as well, Ling's field is weakened, whereas Roxy's Vanguard gets plus 5k and plus a critical. So right now the attack is slightly harder to guard. It's 13 plus 5, there's 18, 18 plus 8, 26. 26 to an 8k Vanguard. Single drive, but double crit, so Ling still has to guard. She goes for Alkill. Alkill is 13 only, but it's 10k guard. And then the other attack. And Finale can actually reduce Ling's Vanguard's power by another additional 5k. So right now this is 16 by 16,000 to a 3k Vanguard. So that's still a trigger guard. I think perhaps what Roxy could have done was also attack with the Finale first to set Hexaorb to minus 5k for 2 attacks, potentially. So Alestiel without Persona Ride is just really low power, and the pressure is not really there, right, if you compare both decks. So Ling actually gets the Delta Pen Sorceress. So Delta Pen Sorceress can check the top 2 cards, put one to hand, the rest on the top or the bottom, and if Ling Persona Road, she can actually reveal a critical trigger or a front trigger from the hand and put it on the top of the deck. So in this case, Ling actually puts a critical trigger on the top. I think a better move would have been to boost, right, making it 28, since she's going to restand anyways, right, and the power later on will also be high enough. So here Ling goes, and first check crit, the one that she stacked. So she'll use her Vanguard's effect, so +1. I found it kind of weird why Ling actually chose to restand the Effulgent Wizard rather than the other column, because the other column is actually higher. But there's no guarantee that Delta Pen Sorceress would restand, because there's no guarantee that the other 2 checks, right, will have triggers. But I think Ling just believed that, she's going to check more than 1 trigger, so it doesn't really matter. So that's the first round. The winner is Hexaorb Sorceress. On to round 2. This time Roxy will be going first. So same old thing, she goes into the Grade 1 Alestiel, and this time she binds into white wings, which means that next turn she does not have to ride. She doesn't have to discard to ride from the right deck. Okay, so Roxy goes into the Grade 2 Alestiel by Soul Blasting 1, and the Grade 2 Alestiel can switch out a card in the bind zone. This time she goes into Black Wings. So Black Wings means that, her Grade 2 Vanguard's attack cannot be guarded with a trigger. So Ling just decides to take this anyways, because she will need a counterblast for her Grade 1 Vanguard. Here she goes into Pentagleam, and she uses the Vanguard skill, counterblast 1, draw a card. So very similar Grade 2 turn, I guess, for Ling. Just calls down an Effulgent Wizard, and this time she has a different booster, Painkiller Angel. So she goes 18k, looks at top card, and she chooses to put it into the soul. She can technically leave it on top if she actually wants that card in the hand, and then use Painkiller to add it back into the hand. But I guess here the extra soul charge to fuel for Painkiller is also nice as well. So Vanguard goes in for 10,000. Roxy goes for no pass, and Ling actually checks a crit, which if it goes through is actually really devastating. But luckily, she does not have any boosters for Vanguard, so it doesn't go through. Now we go to Roxy's turn. Once again, Holy Angel of Blessings Celestial skill. Bind. She goes in White Wings, so she will have the multi-attack against a Grade 2 Vanguard this time, since she's going first. Seraphil also allows her to return back the Alestiel that she discarded early on back to the deck. So not a very impressive field on Roxy's side of the board. She couldn't even make like 3 base attacks. So it's really unfortunate because Hexaorb is a personal right reliant deck, and so pressuring it more in the early game is actually the go-to strategy here. But unfortunately, Roxy just does not have the cards in hand that can do so. But anyways, at least she has that double Vanguard attack. So Roxy uses her Vanguard's effect, counterblast 1 and discard a card. And then she can search the deck for an Alestiel Superior Ride. So because she's in White Wings, this Alestiel actually gets plus 5,000 power and plus 1 critical. So there's a lot of incentive here for Ling to guard if she doesn't want to take too much damage. It's 26 if I'm not wrong to Ling's 10,000. And Ling guards for a no pass, I think. Yep. And 20,000 she just takes it. Critical trigger. Okay, so we're back to Ling. And she goes into Hexaorb Sorceress Aquamarine. Once again, the right deck can allow her to stack the top 3 cards of her deck. And let's see what happens to those 3 cards. So she calls down the Octave Sorceress. And then she can use Octave Sorceress' skill, Counterblast 1. Look at the top 2. And she adds both to hand and then returns 1 to the bottom. So she has left just 1 card of those initial 3 cards on the top of the deck, which is most likely the trigger. Even if it's not a trigger, she can always just use the Grade 2 Effulgent to put into Soul. But here Ling actually does something surprising. She calls on the Tortoise to search the deck for a Hexaorb Sorceress. So I think those 3 cards at the top of the deck weren't triggers anyways. Alright. So Tortoise and Octave Sorceress can actually perform some shenanigans as well. In that, if Octave Sorceress returns a trigger to the bottom of the deck and Ling has a Tortoise, she can hold on the Tortoise after Octave has returned the trigger to shuffle back that trigger into the deck. But anyways, here... Okay, so 2 to pass. First check. Heal trigger, oh my. So Ling's healing back down to 2 damage. Second check. Another heal trigger. With this, Ling is back to 1 damage. So Roxy's early game little push was pretty much for nothing. And 5 attacks on Ling's first Grade 3 turn. Over trigger. Alright. So that stops Ling's turn. But if only Roxy had taken the damage earlier, then she would have stopped the entire turn flat out. But right now, at least what Roxy has done with this over trigger is that she has made Ling use up 2 of her Soul Blast to withstand the rear guards. So at least Ling is down by 2 Soul, but I don't think it's that difficult to build up Soul as well in Ling's deck if she wants to, with Effulgent Wizard and stuff like that. So now we go back to Roxy's turn. She goes back to the Holy Angel of Blessings and goes into Black Wings. So she uses Finale's effect. She can take a card from the bind zone and then put in another card. And she puts in Alestiel. So this activates White Wings because it's an odd grade. So this is regarded as a personal right turn as well. And okay, so she's here she chooses to discard Justine rather than Alestiel. So Justine's effect will also allow her to superior call it back out onto the field. And Roxy just calls that. So really, she does not have any good attackers right now in her hand. And she also does not have the damage to activate Arimel's effect to give plus 5k and plus 1 crit to a rear guard, which would have been really nice here. So now triggering the Vanguard's effect, Counterblast 1, discard 1, and then Superior Right Alestiel from hand. I think she has run out of Alestiels. I think back then Roxy was only playing 3 Alestiels, so she saw all 3 of them. But I think now she's back to playing 4 because of this running out of Alestiels. And I think she didn't really see many Seraphils as well. She only has like one Seraphil right here. But because she's in white wings, she's on a double crit Vanguard. And this forces out a PG from Ling. Sniping on rear guards, sniping off rear guards. And the final attack towards the Vanguard. Easy guard. Alestiel's rear guards are really not that, not that strong. Without enough CBs and without the -5k. Anyways, here Ling goes into the Persona Ride. Calls on the Delta Pen Sorceress, so that's counter +1, check top 2, one to hand, the other one on the top or bottom. She leaves one on top, and she does not stack any crit or front. So the same formation for Ling, the referrals column, and then the basic grade 2 and grade 1 column. First check heal trigger, the one that you stacked on top, and because Roxy is at such low damage, right, Ling is once again able to heal it back down to 2. So by dragging this game out, Hexaorb actually has an advantage over Alestiel, because Hexaorb is able to survive much longer, and with continual Persona rides, Alestiel I don't think will be able to handle it that well. But here, Roxy does heal back down to 3 as well, so this game is going to be a bit of a draggy game. I personally don't like this kind of draggy games, but it is what it is with the heal triggers and the over triggers. Okay, so she goes into Black Wings, very annoying. Once again, she has to try to change it into the White Wings, and that's where Finale comes in. So Finale takes that Black Wing card, and Roxy unfortunately has to place a perfect guard into the bind zone from hand to trigger the White Wings. So that's the problem with Alestiel, right? It's a bit inconsistent with the wings shenanigans still. No triggers, and it's just 1 damage to Ling. So here Roxy just shuffles the deck. She does not have any more Alestiels in the deck, so she just writes from the hand. But this turn definitely will be better, a bit better than the previous turn because of the Persona Ride and stuff. Double crit, so Ling is forced to PG, and Roxy actually checks a crit. So if Ling had said no guard, the attack would have just killed her. Sadly, Roxy is not on both wings. If not, she could have given, -5k to opponent's Vanguard. And this forces out yet another perfect guard from Ling's hand. And the final attack is pretty easy guard, it's just 26. And here Ling just decides to take it. So going to 4 is really good, and it prevents Roxy from healing from the first damage that she will take next turn. Right. I think Ling is pretty much set for the turn as well. She has a pretty good formation. Unless she wants to activate some more on-place effects, in this case Keter Sorceresses 1. So she adds one to hand and the other one she leaves on top. Right now here Roxy is checking out how many triggers have been out for Ling's on Ling's side of the field. And Ling is going to further try to stack double triggers on the top, I think. So she gets to look at the top 2 and then add one to hand and leave the other one on top. But in this case, she actually chooses to put it on the bottom and reveal a critical trigger to put on top. Okay. So I think here Roxy gestures to the PG in the bind zone, saying that she really needs that PG. She shouldn't have bound that PG, right? It was really unfortunate how she kept on binding to Black Wings. Just another basic turn for Ling. It all depends on how many triggers that she's going to check this time. So she has stacked the critical trigger on the top, so the Vanguard will be kind of double crit. And here Roxy will actually take the risk and say no guard. right, to Ling. So if Ling checks 2 critical triggers, remember she has already 1 on the top, then she will win. So the first check is a crit. She gives the crit to the Vanguard and a power to the rear guard, activating Vanguard's effect to Soul Blast 1 to restand. Front trigger. That's crazy. The front one gets even more power, and the third check, no. Alright. So 2 damage, only 1 trigger. I don't think that will be enough. Roxy only has 4 cards in hand, but Ling's columns are like, what, 10, 20, 30, 48 minimally. This one is 48. The other one with Refuazos is hitting for like 60 over 1,000, 70 over 1,000, and that's game. Consecutive Hexorb Persona returns are just really hard to guard. Against, a deck like Hexorb, having the early game to push and pressure is very important. But in this case, Roxy didn't see, her push pieces, and was kind of unlucky when it came to binding and stuff. So I would say for both rounds, Ling actually was actually in quite, good control of the whole game. So with that, we've come to the end of this video. The overall winner is Ling with Hexaorb Sorceress, Aquamarine. We hope you guys enjoyed this video. Do stay tuned for more, and we'll see you all in the next one. Bye guys.